Did you know that 90% of the world's millionaires invest in real estate? Well, I'm Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I'm here to help you if you want to go for your piece of that pie. Creating that legacy and making sure that everybody understands at least the basic workings of it is really important.
Absolutely. And to put it in writing in paper, and that's one area that for sure I neglected for the longest time, and we finally getting around to establish that and to take advantage of all the methods that are there. We use well-known company in Austin and highly recommended. It's not cheap, but again, it's like what are you willing to put in place, like to protect your business and protect your efforts. Like you work so hard to make it happen, and you live through your life, and maybe you're comfortable in your collecting out of it, but what's going to happen after you're not here? Like who do you have trained to be stepping up and taking over and managing and carrying on that same mentality to keep it going? And that's when the financial independence and financial education overall is lack of. In our generation and the ones that are coming, just because it's not part of our building blocks, it's not part of what is immediately teachable. Or that's one of the reasons why I started a blog. It's a small blog, but mainly to again pass the sentiment of you work hard, you can achieve, and you enjoy, and then you pass on. But that's not going to happen if you don't do this and this and this and this. So those are the steps that you have to take.
We failed. We have absolutely failed our younger generations because we don't teach them about money. We don't teach them the value of the dollar. On the whole, when kids get out of high school, they know nothing about money and what to do with it and credit and the banking system. And I mean, what is it? You only have to have a half a year of economics. And that's it. They don't have home ec anymore. So kids are coming out 100% unprepared.
Yeah. And the industries are ready for them to come out and like float with everything. Yeah. I never had a mentor as far as economy or business or, like really even like a career, so I send my heart to disseminate and any chance that I have with any audience, especially the younger ones, to say, hey, this is what it takes. This is what you need to do, to make them at least plant that little seed in their head to say, hey, there is something more than just coming in and spending it, like bringing it in, bringing it out. It's like there has to be some kind of education out there. And often enough, I get my audience to say, whoa, so did you know that a CRNA can start with a job with a 3 digits, like, okay, let me tell you how do you get there, and it's just like, or I even like show like, okay, so my first property, and I'll tell you the numbers because they're out there. I got it for 140. That was like just trashed. Like I literally in the attic, it took me like a year to get everything, all the trash that they had put in the attic. Like it was, nobody would buy it. Like they painted over a business card, like they spray painted. Like I found that, I was like, what is this? It's fallen. Oh, it's a business card. They just literally painted over it because they had a little clip. It was horrible. So it took me years to fix it up and clean it up and make it. I was living there, I was still renting it. So 140, maybe I put, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, or whatever. Just last year, it got appraised at 330, and they were paying 500, I think, when I first rented it. They're now paying 1,500. So if I can get your attention with that, let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how you get $3,000 a month for a place that now is paid for. Or now, let me show you some strategies. Or now you need to put some expenses to that because the IRS is going to see all those earning money. So let me distribute that. So use the leverage, use the. There's so many techniques that you can use to make that happen. Did I know all those when I purchased that property? No, no, but let me help you. And those
But you took the step to purchase the property.
Right? And that's all it takes. It really, that's all it takes. And then the rest of it, just find somebody to mentor you along the way or help you. Like that property, like my friend said, oh, are you going to be living there? Yes, I was living there. And then I went to grad school, and guess what? It was rented, both units, and it was being paid for. I didn't have to come out of pocket to pay the mortgage. And was I making some money? I don't even remember. But you know what? It was paid for. Those are the things that I try to share with when I get the little moments of attention from the young ones and from the ones that are like just remotely interested on becoming real estate or investments, or just finding a way of second source of incomes, or like, or being crazy like us to say, that might happen here. And a penny that you get is like a penny that you didn't have. So if it's a lot of pennies, that's even better. But yeah, that's the thing that I'm like passionate about. Like, I don't want to brag about what I achieved. I don't want you to feel sorry for my story. That's not what I'm seeking here. What I want to see is you success. I want you to achieve. I want you to not have to worry. I want you to, like, this is what I want for others. And it's not about what I can get from you, because that just is, there's never been about that. Definitely education for younger generations is financial education, I should say, because they're savvy at everything else. They really are. Like, how do you do this posting here? Like, teach me about that, but let me teach you about financial independence. And definitely being your own boss. There's so much to say about that. Even as a CRNA, my primary job, there is the W-2 that you go and do and your employer pays for everything. They just give you a check, and that's awesome. That's a great profession. That's awesome. You're at the top of the nursing, whatever your goal was, you achieved it. But there is another section that you can do at 1099. I often mentor CRNAs, like, there is so many advantages of being an independent contractor and running the business as the business that could be, and taking advantages of everything that the 1099 has to offer for you. And the flexibility is one. Like, you just work whenever you want to work, because that's your flexibility. And then you spend the time that you want to spend doing, like in my case, real estate or Navy or medical missions. It's that flexibility that there's no money that can pay for that.
Yeah, no, there's really not. I just want to say thank you for joining me today and for sharing your story. It is a beautiful story, and I know you have so much other stuff that you could talk about, so we may see you as a repeat at some point, because I still want to hear about the medical missions at some point.
Oh.
I totally get it. You get to a point where it's not about you anymore. It's about what can you do for others. I would love to have an episode on that at some point. We've got a few people here. I didn't see any questions.
Well, you check that. I just want to really appreciate your work. It has to be a lot of work to put this together and to facilitate these sessions of conversations and to open that to your audience. I really hope that the message it's sent out to, we're here to help. We're here to mentor and to help achieve. And I really appreciate your work. I couldn't do it. So thank you for putting all this together.
This is what's on my heart too. I want to help as many people as I can, and if this is the way I'm going to do it, then this is the way I'm going to do it. So I am not seeing any questions. I just want to thank you again for being with me today. And we do have a question. Hold on. Oh, okay. So Tamika says, do you feel it is a good time to invest, or should we wait for the impact of COVID?
What COVID, Tamika? She's a CRNA. So I think, like I mentioned before, you always have to be looking for a deal. You have to be open and prepare. Success is where the preparedness and the opportunity meets. So if the opportunity is there and the numbers make sense and you find a good deal, we're always looking for a deal. So the healthcare system has been bruised with all this, and I don't believe that this is a real estate related issue. I think that people that are not prepared in the real estate and they didn't have their finances in order are going to be struggling, and you could always be that person that helps them get through this, whether that gets you into a property or not. I believe that if you're prepared and ready to go and the numbers make sense, there shouldn't be a season to buy or not. But
I'll kind of tag onto that too. It's there's always going to be deals. There's going to be good ones and bad ones. Right. But you just You have to be really vigilant about crunching the numbers and making sure it all adds up for you. And honestly, what is a good deal for one person may not be a good deal for another person, because one person may need more of the mortgage covered than somebody else. So if it's only cash flowing $100 a month, maybe that won't work for this person over here, but cash flowing $100 a month totally works for the person over here. It depends on you and whether or not you can make the numbers work.
Yeah, and also knowing your market, like if you know that you might not might not be cash flowing right now, but you know that market is gonna be, it's a developing area, or you know something about the market, you're gonna probably take it even if you're not making the cash flow right now, because you know that the area is gonna be appreciating. So knowing your market, crushing the numbers, and really taking it into your own personal what works for you. I don't think it's a bad time to buy or not. I just think that if the numbers make sense, you should be always looking for it, for a deal.
Yeah, I agree. That's it really is just, what are you comfortable with? Do the numbers work for you? Do it or don't. I will say that I've had issues with falling in love with properties, and that is a very, very bad thing.
That is a bad
Because
thing.
you're more likely to not want to walk away even if the numbers don't work. You'll work harder to make the numbers work if you fall in love with a place. And that is really bad.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Or wanting to make the fix as if this is the dream house. Like you have to be, when you're gonna remodel or you're gonna, it depends if you flip. Some people flips and they want to make it beautiful. It depends who your audience is, or who the person, or who are you selling it to. I'm not saying a tenant deserves less. What I'm saying is like, well, maybe you want to do a better investment on materials because you know it's going to be a tenant and it has to be resistant to not having to do the turnover every year. So it depends what your mission or what your criteria of fixing. We fix as if we're going to hopefully not fix in 5-10 years, so we do durable things. But that's the other thing, like being too attached to a property to the point like I want to make it a house so beautiful, it can be very costly.
So there is another question. How do you ladies exactly run your numbers? Do you use an exact formula, and do you stick to it with all the deals? What's an example of how you run your numbers?
So it depends. Like if we're going to put it in a mortgage, we want to have 75, not more than 75% on loan to value. And then with the rentals, you want to have at least 10% of, I might be telling you the wrong numbers. Like my husband is the one that does the numbers, but you have to have the margin of covering your mortgage and having a percentage of income. So if that, again, I might be telling you the numbers wrong, but if you are if you're financing 100,000, so your rent should be at least 1,000 a year to cover. And again, like we have USAA, which gives us a great discount on insurance. So it all depends on, I guess, your situation. But for a company or for a bank to finance, they do want to see the loan to value no greater than 75. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, so I looked it up because the one we use the 1% rule, which is what you were saying. Basically, what you do is the rule of thumb, the 1% rule states that the monthly rent should be equal to or greater than 1% of the total purchase price of the property. So if it's a $100,000 home, that's your purchase price. The rent needs to be at least $1,000 or 1% of the purchase price. And that goes really well for residentials. So even all the way up to a quadplex. But once you go commercial, which is 5 units or more, the 1% rule doesn't really work anymore. As long as you're in residentials, that 1% rule is pretty good. Another rule of thumb that my father-in-law gave me was that if you take the tax value and multiply by 1.1, it'll get you pretty close to the market value. Again, residentials. So I kind of use both of those. And the other thing I do is like, I look at, how much is the mortgage going to be and all of the things attached to the mortgage. So the insurance, and if you have to pay PMI, all of those little pieces. And I say, okay, how much is it going to bring me back? So if the rent's $1,000, out of that 1,000, how much is going to come back to me in case the AC goes out, right, or in case I have to replace a roof, or in case I have to reroute some plumbing, which those are all 3 things that I am right now dealing with in some of my single family homes. And so we have to make sure that we have enough buffer in there to cover those expenses. Now, those big expenses like a roof or an AC, or the plumbing thing wasn't really a big thing, but a roof and an AC, those are big investments and they don't hit you all the time. So you don't always have to have that much reserve to cover those big ticket items. And honestly, over time, you get to where you know where your groove is. You know how much extra you need coming in past the mortgage, and you'll just get a feeling for it. And I don't really know how to explain it more beyond that, other than it's just you get in the groove after you've done it for a little bit, and it just starts working.
Yeah, another thing that another expense that people or some landlords tend to forget is an occupancy cost. So you have to integrate that into you. Even if it doesn't happen, you still have to plan for it, because you might be holding your unit for a month, 2, 3, 6 months, whatever, and you have to be prepared for that, and having to make the payments if you don't have a tenant in place. Again, that risk is diluted if you have multi-living or a combination of. But yeah, definitely the reserves, especially as we now know, like even 6 months might not be enough, diversification and being creative. Like, so we had an Airbnb, actually we had 2 Airbnbs, and with all this cancellation and everything, the Airbnb business was crushed pretty much. So all of a sudden we're sitting in a duplex that is empty and furnished and has no income. So we had network out with a company that was holding immigrants that are waiting for processing in and waiting for an asylum process. So they actually asked us if we could accommodate for this type of occupancy, and we switched all the bedding to bunk beds and provide them with 12 beds for them to occupy. And it worked well, because now we have corporate housing that is assured pay and an industry that was crashed. And you just have to be flexible and creative, and always be networking. Just you have to put your name out there. That for many years I and my friends can tell you, I didn't talk about what I do in the real estate. It was more like, I do this, and then I do the hospital work, I do the military work, and I do this. It was separate. Like, there was no connection in between. And I started just talking about what I do, and there's been a lot of connections made because of that, and so I'm interested in syndications, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You just don't know what people are thinking or going through, and you just have to put yourself out there. But again, this is starting another conversation. But you have to pretty much put yourself out there and be networking. There's no price to the value of networking can bring for you and your business.
So did we answer your question?
I know, right?
I know. Did we answer your question sufficiently?
I hope so. If not, they can reach to us. I know that, or to you, and then
we'll get it all figured out. Again, just thank you so much. I think that this was a really awesome episode, and I think that people are going to get a lot out of it. So just thank you, and I hope you have a great day and have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, Angel. Hello everybody, we wanted to thank you for joining and subscribing to this channel. This is a space where we share our experience, we share other speakers' experience, and all of that is aimed to increase your knowledge base for investing in apartments or any kind of assets in the real estate.
If you're looking for specific material, you want some specific material covered, please reach out, let us know at up-plex.com. That's upplex.com. Just reach out, send us a message, and give us some ideas. We would love to provide as much value as possible to you, and if we know what you're looking for, we can do that a lot easier.
Remember, our goal is to elevate all of you with our content, with our partnerships. Thank you, subscribe, and see you around. Bye.
See you guys.